Alright, how to shoot a pistol fast. Like I said in my other videos, for self-defense situation, you only have to be the size of a torso at 15 yards and in. You don't need a lot of technology and fancy sights and short trigger pulls or long trigger pulls or light or this, that, and the other. You just need to be able to put rounds on the target. Most guns will allow you to do that within that distance. That being said, you should, as I said before, train to fight with your pistol. Now, the only way you can really do that short of being in real gunfights, which means the military, or being stupid and going out and being a criminal and getting involved in shootouts with cops, you're going to have to look into simulated environments. By simulated, I mean IDPA, USPCA, IPSC, stuff like that, where you use your carry pistol, if you have any brains, and your carry equipment. Now, if you carry with a t-shirt and an inside the waistband holster, and maybe you have a reload inside the waistband here or whatnot, maybe you should think about competing with that stuff instead of going out and getting a specialized shooting vest where it's real wide up the front and has weights in the bottom, so when you clear it, it swings way out so you can get a good grip on the holster. And when you shoot like that, you're training to fight with your competition gear, not with what you bank your ass on in the streets. If you cannot compete well with IDPA, you can't get accurate hits and times and all that stuff with your carry gun, maybe you ought to think about changing your carry platform. That being said, this gun right here weighs about 2.5 pounds, completely loaded with 8 rounds of ammunition, 7 in the mag, 1 in the tube. It soaks up recoil very well. It's a low pressure cartridge, so it doesn't have a very snap to it like the 40 Smith & Wesson does. It's a heavy gun, so it soaks up a lot of that recoil. Those are the biggest things that will let you shoot accurately and quickly, especially at longer engagements. The things that makes a 1911 good for that kind of shooting is a really short trigger travel. The thing that makes it bad is if you don't practice getting that thumb safety off as soon as you clear the holster, well, now you got nothing. Now you got a nice little paperweight. So you got to train around that. You got to train it until you don't even think about it. You draw and it's off and you're shooting. If you do that and you compete with this stuff, you'll learn a lot of stuff. Now, with that being said, you don't need a fiber optic front sight. You don't need match grade rear sights or this, that, and the other. You don't need a full-length guide rod. That just came on the gun when I bought it. You don't need a flat trigger or a curved trigger or an over travel set or anything like that. You don't need a high grip beaver tail. You don't need a mag well. Mag well comes off half the time for me, if not more. But what you need to learn how to do is how to hold the gun. Now, when I say that, you know, the modern two-hand grip for shooting combat-wise is to get your hand as high up in here as you possibly can. The nice thing about a 1911 with a high-ride beaver tail with this curve on it, it's in the holster. Even if you shoot high, it will still guide your hand up to the highest point. If you shoot low, it will still guide your hand up to the highest point. So you want your hand to be up nice and high. Now, I wear size medium gloves, and if you look at the gun, I'm pretty much up and over the beaver tail outside of it. I'm concealing the hammer halfway with my gun, with my strong hand. That's a high grip. What that does, that decreases the distance from the barrel to the top of your hand, which makes the gun act like less of a lever, less of this, and more of this, which makes it faster follow-up shots. The other thing is by keeping your thumb up high like this, that creates this nice open grip panel. Now, you may hate that at first because you'll see a lot of people shooting the movies like this or like that or like this. That doesn't do you anything. What you need to do is you're gripping front and back. You're just gripping the pistols firmly with your strong hand. You're taking your support hand. You're jamming this part of your index finger up onto the trigger guard right about where your knuckle is. And just wrapping it up. My palm, this portion of my palm, is butted up right in here. 360 grip all the way around. Very, very strong. Now I'm gripping with this hand. Now what winds up happening because of the way the gun is designed, most of my pressure front to back is with my right hand and most of the pressure side to side is with my support hand. What that does is it creates a very balanced stance for the pistol to recoil in. So the gun might have a little bit of flip to it, but for the most part those sights will go right back to where when it cycles, it will drive the sights back right to where it originally was. You won't have to be hunting around for them too much. The other thing is, front sight post. Do not lose it. As long as that front sight is over your target, you're probably going to hit it. It doesn't have to be inside the notch and flat and level and all that stuff. It just needs to be over the target and under, say, 10 yards. You'll be fine. 30 feet. Just have that front sight and pull the trigger if it's over the target. That's all you have to do. The other thing is, when you're shooting it, you see a lot of people take their thumbs and put them like this. Now that's bad on a lot of guns because if it have cutouts in the slide, it can tear your thumb up. Other guns, if you have weak recoil springs, you can slow down the slide and cause a jam if it's not a controlled feed gun. And you'll also get the thumbing, which is where when you tighten your grip, your thumbs tend to have more muscle pushing like this, where the rest of your hand is front to back. So what ends up happening when I tighten my grip, the whole gun goes to the side. You see that? The way you can offset that is to take the gun, put your thumbs off to the side so it's not touching the frame. Now I tighten my grip, look what happens. It stays centered. That's all it's about. The other thing is, take your shoulders and actually roll them up towards your ears when you're shooting. You can do the Weaver stance, I mean that's all cool and everything, but it's not repeatable. So each time you draw and you fire, there's going to be a difference in angle of this arm and this arm, and that's going to result in the gun recoiling differently each and every single time. Grabbing the front of the trigger guard, hey, if you want to be in the 1970s trying to shoot, go for it. It really doesn't help you out too much because you're taking your whole hand, you're doing this jobby, and you're not being able to get as good support because when you tighten your grip, it's actually rotating your hand forward and off the gun. When you do this and you tighten your grasp, it stays on the gun. So get your good stance for the grip. We basically want to have it when we grip it, this front sight, when you're standing, you want to be able to look down it, not have it line up perfectly with your eyes, so to speak, but actually line up with your elbow joint. And what that's going to do is that's going to take a lot of that recoil and go into your wrist. Even when it's bent like this, it's going to go into your wrist and through your bone structure. It's going to use the bones to control the recoil instead of your muscles. So when you do that jobby, and you roll your elbows forward like that, what you wind up happening is the gun goes like this. Now what you want to try to do is actually use your chest muscles and your biceps and your forearms to kind of close them like this. That will help create that stable base for the gun to just go back to where you want it to go. Yes, your elbows are going to move. Don't worry about locking them too much. Just shoot. And you will find out that when you do this, the gun will go right back onto target. The pistol is your lifeline. I've said in another video, the modular zombie repellent of the AR and how to shoot it and all that, how to run it fast and how it operates and why I chose it. It's very limited. The biggest reason why it's limited is because it's very easy to see. It's very lethal. It's very, very effective. It has a high round count. I can get either 28 to 31 rounds off with a full magazine within 300 yards and impact whatever I want to hit impact and poke a hole in it and tear that shit up if I want to. The downside is everyone else can see that thing. Even if it's in a case, it's probably a little bit too big than what most people walk around the streets carrying. This you can easily conceal. That's all you have to worry about hiding is from my hands up. That's it. And if you're in a normal t-shirt, it probably has enough slack in there where no one's ever going to notice. This is your lifeline, man. Learn how to operate it, learn how to run it quickly, learn how to shoot it fast, effectively, on target. The two-hand grip and everything, if you're getting attacked, you're probably not going to worry about, oh, well, I got to have my knees bent, my feet about shoulder width apart, and have my center of gravity on the balls of my feet, so I'm a little forward, so I don't get pushed back when the gun recoils and all that. If you're using a good stance and you're thinking about all that, you're probably not going to fight for your life. But all of that training, they get into muscle memory. Yeah, you're not scoring off your opponent or anything, but it cannot hurt you. The better you learn this thing and better it's ingrained in your system, whatever choice gun you have, the better off you will be if you ever have to use that thing in self-defense. So, something to think about. Don't go so much about what the gun shows and reviews and all that and what's hot is. Go off of what you can shoot well.